Okay, I'm terrible at these video things, so I'm sorry if I look stiff and awkward. This is like the third time I've done it. I think I'm just bad at talking to myself. Anyhow, my name is Ginger Scott. I am a young adult and new adult author, and I am really excited to be featured here on Simply Sexy Book Reviews. And I just kind of asked some people if they had any questions they'd like me to answer for this. So I'm going to go ahead and go through them so that way I have something to say. Um, the first question that I got, which I do get often, was how did I start writing? Why did I start writing? How does that process work for me? Writing is something that I've always wanted to do, writing books. When I was a kid, maybe 11, 12, the first book that really made an impression on me that I remembered reading was Judy Blume's Forever. I couldn't believe that there was a book out there that spoke to me and my age and my friends and talked about everything that we as girls were going through and talked about sex. And I thought, wow, I want to do something like that. So then I told my family that I wanted to be a writer, and I remember my dad saying, oh, writers don't make any money. And I looked down at the newspaper and I said, well, there's people that work at this place. Maybe I will do that. And he said, yeah, that's journalism. You should do journalism. So planted that seed in my head and really got to know what journalism was all through high school and decided I really loved telling stories, even the nonfiction ones. And went to Arizona State University. It's the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, and studied journalism. Was a Pulliam Fellow at the Arizona Republic, did a lot of breaking news, wrote a lot of stories on business deals, crime, politics, things like that. And I loved journalism. I really loved journalism. I kind of moved into magazine journalism after that, telling longer stories, really getting to kind of tell those heartfelt stories of people. And that's where I sort of really found my wheelhouse, and I liked that kind of storytelling. But there was always this part of me that wanted to write the fiction stories that my younger self, the childhood memory, the girl who read Forever by Judy Blume, wanted to tell. So every year I would promise myself I would finish that manuscript, and then every year I put it off. And then finally, in 2013, my husband said, why don't you finally just finish the damn thing? So I did, and I published Waiting on the Sidelines, and I held my breath because I was terrified that no one would care. And a few people cared at first, and I thought, well, that's pretty exciting. You know, it moved beyond family and friends, and people I didn't know read it. And then a few more people cared. And then eventually it got to a point where I thought, wow, this is something that I have something to say and people want to read it. So I put out Going Long, which was the second story in the Waiting series, and I just haven't looked back since. I now have 5 titles with This Is Falling, which is my release title that we're here celebrating today. And they all are young adult, new adult romance, and I really try to focus on a sense of realism, and I like to build characters, not just my main characters, but a family of characters. And it's something that I have heard back from readers that they enjoy, so I hope you continue to enjoy it. So that's me in a nutshell. I'd like to answer some of the other questions that I've gotten from people, so bear with me while I take a look at what some people have asked. Okay, this is a question that I do get a lot. What can we look forward to with the Waiting on the Sidelines series? If you haven't read it, that story is very much a coming-of-age love story about 2 characters, a girl with a boy's name, her name is Nolan, and Reed Johnson, the perfect quarterback in a small town in Arizona. I'm from Arizona, so I really like to set a lot of my stories here. It's an interesting place to grow up. I think it's an interesting place to be a teenager. It's a great place to tell the coming-of-age story, especially in high school. We have things like desert parties, and football is big. So Waiting on the Sidelines, I get a lot of questions about whether or not there will be a 3rd book. And there isn't one planned. I really love that story the way it is, and I love how it finishes, and the journey that readers get to go on with Reed and Nolan as they become adults in high school and continue their journey through college. But I won't say never. I won't rule it out. If, I'm driving down the road one day and that inspiration hits me and I pull over and I start scribbling in my notebook, which I do sometimes when I get an idea, there might be more to tell. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see with that one. I know probably not the answer some people wanted, but don't have a story plan yet. Another question that I got is, what can we look forward to in the next 2 books in the Falling series? Well, the first book, This Is Falling, focuses on the story of Ro and Nate. And Ro is a girl kind of trying to overcome some tragedies in her life, learning how to be independent, learning how to put one foot in front of the other. And Nate, of course, is that muse, the guy who helps her wake up and see life for all that it has to offer. He also happens to be a pretty sexy baseball player. The second book in the Falling series will focus on Ty, who is Nate's brother. And I love these 2 characters, Nate and Ty Preeter, my Preeter boys. They are full of humor. They are probably the funniest characters I've ever written. And I really think people are going to enjoy Nate and Ty together. And I'm excited that I'm continuing their story with the next book in the series, which is Ty's story, Ty and Cass and their relationship. The third book, which will come out in 2015, will focus on Paige, who is Cass's sister, who we only get to see little glimpses of here and there, though you will get to know her a little bit more in the second book, Ty's story, which will be called You and Everything After. But I really think you'll look forward to Paige's story, which is book 3, which will be out in 2015. Let's see, what else do we have here? Another question I do get sometimes is, will there be a second story to Blindness? I would love to write a second story to Blindness. I think that book works perfectly on its own. It's a great standalone. I do tend to write things with a start and a finish, even if the story continues. And I think there's a lot more to say about Cody and Charlie and their relationship and a lot of things in their life. And I would love to continue that. I don't have a timeline for it, and I don't know when, but I do think I may revisit them at some point. And let's see, I have one last question here. Out of all of my books, which one was my favorite to write, and what characters? Oh, I guess this depends on the time of the day and the day and the moment that you ask me that question, but I think part of me will always love Waiting on the Sidelines the most, because that was my first, and it's my baby. And I really love those characters, and I love a coming of age story. I think I like the slow build, and I like that it gets into the nuances of everything that we as girls go through in life, boys go through in life. I wrote that story with a big emphasis on realism. So there are some rough things in there. There are some things that aren't pleasant to go through or pleasant to hear people say, but it was really important to me to be real with that story and to make my characters say things that you would really hear and see people say in high school. So that's that. As for favorite characters, though, as I said, those Preeter boys, something about them. Writing This Is Falling was a joy of my heart. I really loved that story. I'm excited to share it. I can't wait for you all to get to read it. And the relationship between Nate and Ty, the 2 brothers, is pretty special. And they just have this humor that I get to put out through them. And I think they might be my favorite characters, which I have a lot of favorite characters, so that's a pretty big weight to carry. I think that's about it that I had for questions. One question that I do get sometimes is my own personal reading list. What authors do I like? I think it's fair to say that I think Colleen Hoover is pretty much a genius, and I read everything she writes. She could scribble something on a bank receipt, and I would probably buy it on Amazon and read it. I also love Jamie Maguire. everything she's written. And I like most of the big authors that are out there right now. I think it's a really exciting time to be an author. I think it's an exciting time to see the changes that are happening in the genre, and I'm just really grateful to have readers. So thank you for hosting me. I promise I'll get better at this. I'm not going to watch it because every time I watch it, I decide that I want to tape it again, and I just don't think I can tape it again. So with that, This Is Falling is out on Amazon August 29th. I hope you check it out. I hope you like it, and I hope you fall in love with neat and typewriter as much as I am. Okay, take care. Bye.